You know, the food on your plate has a hidden appetite for energy. Yeah, it's this powerful, almost invisible connection. And look, understanding this isn't just about sustainability. It's actually one of the most direct paths we have to tackling climate change and lifting millions out of poverty. So okay, let's dive into how we can build that more sustainable future together.
Okay, to kick things off, let's just anchor on this number, 30%. That's how much of the entire planet's energy is consumed by our global agri-food systems. I mean, think about it. That's everything from the farm to the factory, all the way to your kitchen. It is a truly massive energy footprint.
So what's the climate impact of all that energy? Well, it's responsible for about 1/3 of the total greenhouse gas emissions from our entire food system. The crucial point here, the thing you really got to get, is that our food security and our climate stability they're deeply, deeply connected. Now, what's frankly a bit shocking is just how inefficient this energy-hungry system can be. Get this, a staggering 14% of all food produced globally is lost before it even reaches the market. All that energy, all those resources, just gone. But hey, flip that around for a second. Imagine the potential if we could reclaim that.
All right, so in this explainer, here's our game plan. First up, we're going to explore that hidden appetite for energy. Then we'll see why the whole system is under strain. After that, we'll get into the renewable revolution, look at some incredible solutions already happening, and finally, we'll tie it all together to see how we can feed our future sustainably.
Okay, so let's get right into our first section, our food's hidden appetite. We're about to dig into the immense energy footprint of our global food system, which, at pretty much every single stage is completely dominated by fossil fuels right now.
And this dependency, it creates this huge vulnerability. I mean, the current model basically ties the price of food directly to the super volatile price of oil. So when fuel prices spike, guess what? So do the costs of production and transport. This can mess with food security for millions of people, and of course, it takes a massive environmental toll. This dependency leads us right into our next section, a system under strain. Because here, we're going to see how these deep inequalities in energy use are creating a really big and growing global divide.
Now check out the contrast here. It's pretty wild. In high-income countries, a whopping 75% of the energy is used after the food leaves the farm. We're talking factories, trucks, supermarkets, the whole shebang. But in low-income countries, it's a completely different story. The struggle is just to get basic energy on the farm and in the home, and that severely limits their productivity and their ability to add value to what they grow.
And this really shows the human cost of it all. Over 2.5 billion people still rely on traditional fuels, like wood, just to cook their meals. And this isn't just inefficient. We're talking serious health problems from all that indoor smoke, a burden that falls heaviest on women and kids who spend hours every single day just collecting fuel and cooking.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. But the good news is we have some incredible solutions. So let's pivot and talk about the renewable revolution. It's all about finding a cleaner, smarter way to power our plates. Honestly, renewables are a total game changer for these agri-food systems. I mean, think about it. They bring clean, reliable energy to remote areas. They slash our dependence on those volatile fossil fuels. They cut food losses and emissions. They make farmers way more resilient to climate change. Oh, and on top of all that, they create new jobs and income streams. It's just a win-win-win.
And look, this isn't just some theory or a pie-in-the-sky idea. Let's look at some solutions in action. We're going to see how renewables are already transforming farming on the ground right now, today. So, let's start with one of the most fundamental challenges for any farmer on the planet, water, right? I mean, how can they get reliable access to it without having to depend on super expensive diesel pumps or, let's be honest, increasingly unpredictable rainfall?
Well, the answer is solar-powered irrigation. And this is what we call a two-sided win. It's a total victory. For farmers, you're talking improved crop yields, more income, and way less backbreaking labor. And for governments, they get to save a ton on fuel subsidies, they reduce their fuel imports, and they make real progress on their climate goals. It's a classic win-win.
And the impact? It's absolutely real. In India, for instance, studies have shown that many farmers who made the switch to solar pumps saw their incomes jump by 50% or even more. I mean, that is a truly life-changing difference.
Okay, now let's talk about another huge problem, the cold chain crisis.
A shocking 37% of all food loss in sub-Saharan Africa happens in what they call the first mile, that critical window between harvest and processing. See, without refrigeration, farmers are basically forced to sell their produce immediately, often at rock-bottom prices, just so it doesn't spoil. The scale of this opportunity is just immense. I mean, just think about this for a second. Simply improving access to refrigeration could prevent the spoilage of up to a quarter of the perishable foods that are currently produced in developing countries. That is a massive step towards both feeding more people and boosting farmer incomes. And here is a fantastic example of this in practice. In Kenya, innovative companies are setting up solar-powered cold storage hubs right near the farms, so farmers can use a simple pay-as-you-go service to store their produce. What happens? Well, it drastically reduces post-harvest losses, it increases their income by up to 30%, and maybe most importantly, it gives them way more market access and negotiating power. Okay, so this brings us to our final section, where we're going to connect all the dots. Feeding our future sustainably. And the crucial takeaway here is this. These solutions we've been talking about, they aren't just small, isolated fixes. No way! Transforming our food and energy systems is absolutely fundamental to achieving our biggest shared global goals. And the framework for those goals? That's the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. It's basically the world's shared blueprint for ending poverty, protecting the planet, and making sure everyone can prosper by 2030. And this is where it all really comes together. You can see right here how directly the solutions we've been talking about line up with these critical goals. When we reduce food loss, boom, we're tackling SDG 2, Zero Hunger. When we deliver clean power to rural communities, that's SDG 7. And when we decarbonize this huge global sector, we are taking major climate action under SDG 13.
So the big question is, how do we make this happen at scale? Well, here's a clear action plan. First, we need better data and mapping to pinpoint where renewables can have the most impact. Second, we have to unlock finance, things like affordable loans for farmers. Third, we've got to integrate our approaches, plan for food, energy, and water together, not in separate silos. Fourth, we need to mainstream this in policy, aligning national strategies. And finally, and this is so important, we have to prioritize inclusivity, making sure women and marginalized communities are at the very heart of this transition.
So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, we really need to reframe this entire issue. You know, this isn't just another challenge to overcome. Transforming our food and energy systems, it's truly one of the greatest opportunities of our time to build a healthier, more equitable, and more sustainable world. Look, the technology is there. The business models are proving that they work. We have the solutions literally right in front of us. So the final question isn't about what's possible. It's about what we're going to choose to do. Will we connect our food and energy systems to build a more resilient and sustainable future for everyone?